Welcome to Sports to Support, the podcast where we combine our love for sports with the power of giving back.
Every week, we go into game-changing highlights, breaking news, and crazy stats, all while raising funds for incredible charities. Your passion for the game makes a difference. Every cent of our profit goes to those who need it most.
So sit back, relax, be prepared to get excited, learn, and catch up on breaking news.
That's Ben, that's Spencer, Noah, Hayden, Joe. Our cameraman's named Zach. I'm Jack. This is Sports to Support, where every play counts on and off the field.
I'm Turk, Wendell, former Major League Baseball player.
And I'm Wyatt, Wendell, son of Turk and current minor league baseball player.
This question's for both of you guys. What inspired you guys to get into baseball?
Just loving it as a kid for the first time playing wiffle ball and watching it on TV inspired me to want to become a baseball player.
What about you, Wyatt?
Well, I grew up around the game just because my dad, played for so long, and watching him and just seeing everything he did just really inspired me to play. And as far as I can remember, I've been holding a bat or had a glove in my hand. So it's all because of him.
So this one's for Turk. What was it like getting drafted, like on draft night, by the Astros?
Well,
Braves.
We didn't have the draft when I was drafted wasn't like it is today. It wasn't publicized. It wasn't on TV. It was simply a scout at my house, and a phone call came through and said that I was drafted by the Braves. And it was exciting, but it was definitely the realization of becoming a professional baseball player was real. My parents were actually a lot more excited than I was because they didn't see. I went to college 2.5 hours from my home, so they didn't see all the scouts every day after every game that I pitched talking to me and everything. So they didn't realize or understand that it was a realization that I was going to be drafted. So I just simply, my mom, I remember saying, "You're not that excited," and I said, "Well, this is what's supposed to happen." That was just part of the process.
And why? What about you? How was it with you getting drafted on draft night?
Well, I didn't get drafted. I ended up signing post-draft. So similar deal. I just got a phone call, but it was still really cool just kind of realizing that all the hard work I had put in, was going to pay off and I was going to get my chance. But yeah, no, I never got to hear my name called, which would have been pretty cool, but still getting that phone call was still really cool.
This question's for Turk. What emotions were you feeling when you walked out the dugout for your first MLB game?
It was pretty exciting. It was a really hot day in Chicago that day. It was actually like 90 something, 95 degrees. I didn't pitch the greatest that I've ever pitched, obviously, but I didn't pitch super bad. I did get the loss. It was so hot that actually the reliever that came in behind me passed out of heat exhaustion in the dugout. But here's an example of how excited I was. I was in the bullpen just trying to get my breaking ball the way I wanted it. And later on, I learned that I threw 108 warm-up pitches. So I don't understand why my coach let me throw that many warm-up pitches, but so be it.
I have a question about who you've faced. Who's the toughest batter that you've ever faced and why?
Every dang one of them, buddy. I actually had a tougher time getting guys out that were what I would call no-name players. I think you're just not as focused when you're facing big-name players like a Barry Bonds or Mark McGwire or, a Pete Alonso or Judge, Derek Jeter, those kind of players. And you kind of let your guard down when somebody comes up there, like, say, a Spencer, so you just like, who's this guy? And you just kind of let your guard down. And you can never do that in the big leagues ever.
So Speaking of big name players, you played with one Hall of Famer, Mike Piazza, and another guy who definitely put up stats worthy, yeah. But what was it like playing with those two core guys like Sammy Sosa and Mike Piazza?
It was awesome playing with Piazza. Sosa was an exciting player, but he was a very selfish teammate. I played with a lot of Hall of Famers that were great teammates. Ryan Sandberg, Jim Thome, one of the absolute best. Played with Ricky Henderson, not the greatest teammate, but he was a good player when he wanted to play. Played in spring training with Craig Biggio and Jeff Bagwell. Awesome guys, great players on and off the field, just great people. That's just to name a few. Todd Helton. Yeah, thanks, Wyatt. Todd Helton, unbelievable player, unbelievable guy, friend, very, very dear friend. I went to his Hall of Fame induction last year.
Now, I have a question. Do you both? This is for both of you guys. Do you have a preferred environment or ballpark to play in?
As far as like the field goes, you're going to see a lot of turf fields in the minor leagues, but I would prefer natural field. D-back Stadium, I've got to pitch there in rookie ball. It's a dome, so it's pretty cool, but I would prefer natural to turf. But as far as like stadium goes, no, I don't really have a set preference. I've played at a lot of cool parks though.
And Turk, you?
I liked playing in New York. I liked playing in Chicago, obviously, where I made my major league debut. But playing in a park like Fenway and growing up a Red Sox fan was pretty surreal. But I really enjoyed playing in the old Shea Stadium for the Mets, and I actually really like Dodger Stadium too. It's a fun place, good environment.
Hey guys, I'm Jack.
And I'm Ben, and we would like to take a minute to talk about the main reason we're here.
Sports to Support supports the charity Stand Up to Cancer, which promotes cancer research development and aid to people who suffer from the terrible disease.
We've all had loved ones in our family who have either suffered or died from cancer, so this really means a lot to us.
Cancer is a horrible disease that takes hundreds of thousands of lives each year. I've had people who died. I know Ben has, and I know all of you guys probably had too. So Stand Up to Cancer is the best charity in leading for the cure to this horrible disease.
So make sure that you click on the bio in the Instagram account or the link in the TikTok and donate now.
And now on to the next topic, Turk. I mean, this topic's mostly about you. So everyone knows you for the amount of superstitions you would have before your outings, whether it was for jumping over the foul line or eating licorice. Where did they originate from? Like, how did you come up with the idea that works well and can impact the way that you pitch to a good level?
Well, it's just basically a routine, and it gets you in a comfort zone. And I remember going out to pitch one time in high school, and I gave up a run. And afterwards, when the inning was over, I was in the dugout thinking what I did differently. And I remember stepping on the foul line. So I made sure I would never step on the foul line anymore. And I jumped over the foul line. You guys all play ball, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whether it's lacrosse, basketball, hockey, soccer, whatever, baseball. I'm sure there's things you guys do that make you feel comfortable every day before you go play. And I'm sure maybe you even got some ratty old sweatshirt or t-shirt that you've never washed. You might want to wear that. There's just certain things that you come up with through success and failure that you eliminate or you add on to as you keep playing and progressing. And usually it's, like I said, it's done with success and failure, but I had a bad taste in my mouth when I was in rookie ball and I had my bat boy get my toothbrush, brush my teeth in between innings, and next thing you know, I struck out everybody out the next day. So I figured, well, I better keep doing that. So it's just, yeah, I'll admit it was pretty odd off the ball stuff, but college guys would play this game where they chew tobacco, and I never chewed tobacco, and I wanted to play the game, so I chewed black licorice because it looked like a chew, it looked cool, and I could spit like they could. So that's pretty much all it really boils down to is a routine and putting yourself in that comfort zone.
So this one's for both of you. If you guys could say something to up and coming prospects about like mental health in the sport of baseball, what would you say to them?
I would say to make sure you use your resources. I know there's a lot of people that are, pulling for you. You're going to be in your guy's corner, especially in high school, college, and now at the minor league level. We have a lot of support staff that are there to help. So it's not an easy game. It's not an easy process. There's a lot that goes into it. And on top of it, life happens. So you're going to be faced with some challenges on the field and off. And I would just make sure that you use those resources that are available to you. I'm sure you guys will have some at your high schools, like I said, in college. And then I'm fortunate enough to have a great mental health support staff in the D-backs organization. So just making sure you use those people and don't be afraid to ask for help.
And you, Turk?
One of the things that I always stress to younger players is baseball is a game of failure, and you're going to fail way more than you succeed. Don't ever accept it. You just need to learn how to deal with it and how to handle it. You guys talked about Hall of Famers. They still made it out 70 out of 100 times. Yeah. 70 out of 100 times. If you're a doctor and you save only 30 lives out of 100, you're probably not going to be a doctor very long. If your dad is a lawyer and he's, wins 30 out of 70 cases, he's probably not going to be a lawyer too much longer or find clients. Those are the things that, to me, it's one of those things you just have to learn how to deal with it, because if not, you implode. And the mental side of the game is far more stronger a battle than the physical part of the game. It truly, really is. And I always say you judge players in the bad times, not the good times. They show their true colors and their true character as a player and a person when they just went 0 for 10 with 10 strikeouts. That's when you show your true colors. Yeah, no one likes a sore winner, no one likes a sore loser, right? How many guys do you know everything's great and you're smiling when you're winning and everything's great, but when you're losing, nobody likes a sore loser, right?
Yeah.
So you just have to make sure that you understand what got you where you are at this point. The hard work you put in, the losing, the winning, and at the end of the day, Wyatt can attest to a lot of this. I would teach kids and tell kids, because I coached them all the way up through high school, that every day what's going to happen before the game starts. Somebody's going to win, someone's going to lose. If you can't handle either one of those, you shouldn't play, period. You go out there and you play as hard as you possibly can, and whatever happens, happens, because today just might not be your day.
So, you guys obviously phenomenal ball players, and what phases were like the toughest for you getting up to the point where you guys are in professional baseball? What was the toughest phase?
I would say the toughest phase for me, just come out of high school, I wasn't, a big name prospect. I didn't get ranked on Perfect Game or Under Armour, whatever, all the, the stuff that you guys see on MLB Network and all that stuff. So, it wasn't an easy road. Even having my dad, who played for 11 years in the big leagues, like nothing was handed to me. So just working hard. I went to a junior college for 3 years, worked my butt off, and got a scholarship to a Division I school and got noticed there by big league scouts. So I would say just having that chip on my shoulder the whole time, knowing that I was as good as these guys that are getting the recognition, if not better, and making sure that my work proved that so that I could go show it on the field.
And you, Turk?
For me, a lot of it was just making sure I dedicated myself to the game. Wyatt made a really good point that life happens. You start getting older and you get girlfriends, you get wives, you get families and kids. It's a lot to juggle. When things aren't going great, maybe they're not going great in your on the field play, or maybe in your relationship. It's a lot of different things to juggle, and it takes a very special, dedicated person to do that. And it's an immense amount of sacrifice. So for me, quick story. I was in Double A and had a girlfriend. We actually got engaged, and um, it wasn't working out. And then I broke it off, and I went back to Double A again the next year, and had the best season of my career, and ended up getting basically traded for two big leaguers to the Cubs from the Braves. So that hard work, like Wyatt was saying, it always pays off. It really truly does. And you know, a testament to Wyatt and his hard work. He wasn't drafted, but he just stuck with it. And you know, now it kind of sucks for players because when I played, there was 60 or plus rounds in the draft. Now there's 20, and they're talking about making it 10. So it just makes it harder and harder every single year, and you just always got to keep working hard because there's always someone wanting to take your spot. You just can never forget that. That's what should make you work hard every single day. The three things that I've always told Wyatt are, you want to work hard because you don't want to let the people down that support you. The other one is the fear of failure. And the third one is you want to prove all the people wrong that say you can't do it, because there's going to be a lot of people that say you can't do it. And I'm living proof. Wyatt's living proof that you can if you just put your mind to it.
Baseball is a very competitive sport, so I think those three messages are very inspirational for anyone, not even baseball, when they want to do anything. You got to work hard. People always tell you that you can't. So I think those are really good messages.
And Wyatt, I have a question for you now. What do you think about your dad's, rituals and everything? Like, what do you have to say about that from you? Like, did you think it was weird growing up seeing your dad do all this crazy stuff?
So yeah, I mean, it's definitely funky. It's quirky. It's cool though, because I don't know if you guys have seen, but MLB Network on Friday the 13th, they do a most superstitious player ranking, and my dad's number one. So they do a little thing about him and talk about him. It's pretty cool. So I grew up watching that when I could. But no, I mean, I think it's cool. It's different. You don't see it a lot. It's kind of an old school thing. Even in today's game, you really don't see a lot of superstitions. But a lot of that is kind of talked about by some of the mental performance people because, if you really let a superstition take a hold of your life, it can kind of become something that can negatively affect you. And I've kind of seen that myself, just thinking something, has to happen or I can't get prepared for this game, whatever. But that's not the case. You got to just trust that the preparation you've done all year is going to prepare you for that game and not some, ritual. I mean, no offense to my dad and his stuff. It worked for him, which is awesome. But sometimes that stuff can take a hold of you and kind of affect you negatively. But yeah, I do still have a little bit of superstition stuff. I do. Obviously, you never touch the line. That's just a no-go. And I think, yeah, everyone kind of has that one. But it's not really superstition, but I follow a very strict routine on my start days and just make sure I do everything that I need to do to get prepared. But I also know that if I need to step away from the routine, that I'm still in a good spot, that I can have success. So I don't let the routine take over. I just let my preparation do that, just to make sure that I'm always mentally prepared.
All right, so on to the next topic now. So Wyatt, this is for you and Turk. Turk, so what was it like? What was the different experiences like playing for the Mets, Cubs, Phillies, and Wyatt, what was it like playing for the Diamondbacks and in their system? I mean, like, is there a real big difference that is noticeable? Like, is there different ways that managers will treat you, like, in a very way that, like, it's impactful? So how is it like?
Yeah, and I'll add to that question. Is there like a different like culture around like the team? I think we're all just really curious what it's like.
I've seen a huge difference just from high school to college to junior college to Division I to then pro ball. High school is awesome. You got the guys that are not going to play in college but are out there just having a blast, playing the game they love. And then you got the guys that want to play in college but don't want to try to play professionally. And then you got the guys that want to do all of it. So It's kind of hard in high school because you're going to be playing with guys that may not care as much as you, which is fine. But it's kind of just for the love of the game at that point. And then as you get to college, you're going to realize that a lot of the guys there are finally realizing that, hey, maybe I'm not good enough to play professionally. So I'm just going to do my 4 years here, get a degree, and go from there. And you can kind of tell in the guys that happens to because they stop trying as hard, which is sad. But in a lot of cases, that's just what happens. And then you have the guys that are real prospects that they know what's at stake and they'll work their butt off, which is very cool to see. But then as you get into pro ball, it kind of shifts and it becomes less of a team game and more individualized, especially in the minor league levels, because you're really just there to develop. So the coaches and the players, they really don't care as much about winning. I know it's sad to say that, but it's just the truth. Like it's all about developing the players so that when they get to the big leagues, then they can win, because that's really all that matters. So it was kind of hard for me to see that my first couple years because I'm wanting to win. I'm super competitive, absolutely hate losing. And then I get to a team where, some guys maybe just care about their batting average or how many bombs they're hitting. And they don't care if the team wins. They don't really care if they're making errors or whatever. So that was probably the biggest smack in the face that I got. Just the team aspect wasn't there as much. But it all depends on the group of guys too, because some of the younger guys maybe just they don't understand the winning aspect because they didn't go to college or whatever. But I do notice that the college guys seem to understand it a little more and play to win. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great managers that I've had and teammates and coaches that they do want to win, but it's just sad because that's not the priority of minor league ball. It's just development, which is sad, but it's part of the deal.
And you, Turk?
Well, there's a few things that I can touch on. When I got to the big leagues, my manager was Jim Lefevre, and I didn't pitch that great in my major league debut. And the day after, he called me in his office and told me, I mean, flat out, you suck. I don't think you have any business being in the big leagues. And if I have my way, you're back in AAA tomorrow. And I thought, holy cow, this is what I worked my whole life for. I mean, I didn't get shelled in my major league debut, and I was more or less, my feelings were hurt, of course, but I was pissed. And that made one more person on my list of people to prove wrong. He said the only way you'll stay here is if Harkey goes on the DL, who's now the bullpen coach for the Yankees, Mike Harkey. If he goes on the DL, you'll pitch Tuesday in Pittsburgh. Now get your shag. And I thought, wow, this sucks. I want to go back to AAA where I know the team depends on me. I'm one of their best starters. So anyway, but compound that with the way the Cubs, we were always terrible. We looked great on paper every single year coming out of spring training, but key injuries would happen or somebody didn't perform to the player that they had been in the past. And next thing you know, we're out of the pennant race or division by July. So guys had only one thing to play for, and that was themselves. And that took a lot of fun out of it for me because I like to be a team player. When I get traded over to the Mets, and it seemed like nobody cared about, well, getting back to the Cubs, a lot of the guys were selfish a little bit or just into their, wanted to play for themselves. So, guys were wanting to be the hero or whatever it was if we won a game. But I loved playing in Chicago. It's an awesome place. I loved all my teammates, but we just didn't win. When I got traded to New York, guys didn't care who got credit for the win or who the hero of the day was, as long as we won the game. And that was proof that we, in 99 and we get to, one game for the World Series, and in 2000 we get to the World Series. So, playing in a city like Chicago, then New York, and then going to Philly where the fans are pretty ruthless and they try to push guys to win at all costs was great. But then I went to Colorado and the fans just more like a social event there, and they didn't really push the player or have, put that drive in me to be the best I could going from those other big cities to Colorado. So that was kind of a bummer.
Yeah, and with that, with the fans, do you think like how the fans were and how they acted? Do you think that that could like affect your play?
Um, when there's fans in your corner and there's a lot of fans in the stands, it really takes your game to another level. Um, when there's no one in the crowd, you have to self motivate yourself, and that's where that inner drive to really push yourself to be the best you can be really takes over. But when the place is packed and there's 50,000 people screaming and yelling, that's what it's all about, especially if it's, say, the World Series or a playoff game. And I mean, Wyatt pitched some great games in junior college, knocking off the number 5 team in the country. Then the next weekend, the number 1 team in the country to go to the junior college World Series. And it was awesome to watch that. And I actually was doing the game on the radio, so it was really cool to experience that in my shoes, just seeing him develop.
I have a question for both of you. So, are there any players you played with from any of your time playing baseball, whether it's in majors, the minors, college, high school, that you think really like that had a real impact on your career that you'll like remember?
Um, one of my best friends in the minor leagues was Steve Avery. He's a number 1 second pick in the draft in 1988, the year I was drafted. He was the number 1 pick for the Braves. We became best friends, and it was a friendly competition. He pushed me to be better, and I pushed him to be better because he'd go out and pitch 8 innings, and I said, "Well, I'm pitching 9." He'd strike out 10, and I'd say, "Oh, I'm striking out 11," or "I'm not giving up, any runs or 1 run or whatever." It was always a battle competition between the two of us. Didn't matter if we were playing cards, playing Nintendo, or running. We were always trying to beat each other all the time, and I think that really helps. Um, Having teammates like that, and as much as we wanted to achieve the goal of getting to the big leagues, um, we helped each other, pushing each other. I mean, my rookie ball team was pretty cool in itself because I think we had 4 or 5 guys from my rookie ball team make it to the big leagues. And back then, we had 8 minor league teams for the Braves. So, I mean, you really had to be the best every single year year in and year out to make it to the big leagues.
I would say I don't have anybody specific in mind, but just the brotherhood that you develop with your teammates at the college level, it's really special and something that I cherish for sure. It's something that you guys should definitely experience playing college ball with those teammates and just building those brotherhoods. It's great to meet new people and just create a family away from home on the baseball field. And I'm starting to develop that a little bit in pro ball as I grow up the chain and start meeting new people. But I know there's a lot of great people that I've met along the way. And yeah, like my dad said, just building those relationships, just being competitive, playing cards on bus rides, Xbox in the hotel rooms or whatever it is. But no, you just develop really strong bonds with those guys because you're with them every day.
You were teammates with Drew Jones, right?
Yeah, I lived with Drew my first year in Visalia and Lowe.
What is it like playing
So I know
with
Drew
a guy like him?
very well. He's an awesome dude, one of my good friends, and great teammate, honestly. Wanted to win, which was great. Pushed himself, worked very hard, and yeah, I have nothing but great things to say about him. We would go golfing on our off days, and he's a pretty good golfer too, which is cool. And yeah, we'd play cards, whatever. He's a great guy. I have nothing but good things to say about him.
I mean, he was a high draft pick in that draft. I mean, that's sick that you're able to like call a guy like I mean famous between youth baseball and like everyone like that. And I mean, he's a top guy.
Yeah. Drew's pretty cool. He's a great dude, and he's very humble, which is awesome to see. You don't see that a lot for guys that are as high a draft pick as he was, and have the pedigree that he does. So it's cool to see that he's a great human being outside of baseball, and just a great teammate. So yeah, nothing but good things to say about him.
So now we're gonna get into like rapid fire, trivia questions now. So Turk, I'll start off real quick if that's okay with you guys. Turk, what was it like going from a starting pitcher to a reliever?
Well, it's humbling for one thing, because you go from you have to alternate your routine, routine of every 5 days, and then to be ready every single day. So it was kind of cool being a starter because it's your game, but being a reliever, especially being a closer, you can have impact in every game. So it was actually um, both are pretty cool in its own sense.
Now, how do you guys feel about like the traveling in baseball? I mean, Wyatt, you're doing that constantly, and Turk, you obviously did that quite often. I mean, how do you feel? I mean, missing your family, seeing different cities, it's got to be a cool feeling, but also,
Very intense.
yeah.
I would say, it definitely can get lonely, but that's where the relationships you build with your teammates and coaches really comes into play. Those long bus rides, you're playing cards, you're cracking jokes, you're watching movies, and it's honestly a blast. That's honestly some of the most fond memories I have playing are the bus trips, late nights in the hotel room and all that kind of stuff. So I really cherish it. But yeah, it's just good to have friends in your corner, and it can be a really good time if you let it. So.
Yeah, for me, once you get to the big leagues and you're flying around in private planes all the time, it makes it a lot easier. But like Wyatt said, with your teammates and stuff, we would play cards on the planes in the big leagues and the bus rides in the minor leagues. And they're actually a little bit shorter bus rides now in the minor leagues than I had to endure. I don't think Wyatt goes on a 16-hour bus trip, but we
No.
did many of those trips. But you're around your teammates more than you are your own family. So it really helps that everybody get along, and it really helps when you're winning. When you're losing, it kind of sucks. And guys, come August, they get a little irritated, and sometimes you start seeing fights if your team's not winning.
And you guys are making money out of professional ball. What would you say? Is it more like a job per se as you play, or is it more like fun? Like, or is it more like serious?
I just looked at it as wow, I'm living a kid's dream and I'm getting paid for it. How much better can life get? I remember laughing one day when the clubhouse guy was handing our paychecks out, and Bobby Valentine walked by and said, "What's so funny?" I go, "Can you believe I get paid to do this?" I mean, let's be honest, because I was relieving at the time. If I suck tonight, you're going to take me right out anyway. And what if I do get to play tonight? It's like 5 or 10 minutes, hopefully, maybe more if I'm lucky. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
I have a big question about, money in today's game and how much the market increased and everything. What do you guys feel? This is going to be our final question, but what do you guys feel about Juan Soto signing
A record breaking.
a huge $765 million
15
deal?
years.
And do you think
Biggest
it's like,
contract in history.
what do you guys think about that?
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I don't have a lot of words for it other than that. It's unheard of. Is he a great player? Absolutely. But what's he going to be? How old is he going to be at the end of that contract?
Yeah.
40
We're going to
something?
be 30 at the end of this contract.
Yeah, so it's like, just think of how ridiculous that is. I mean, if he can put up those numbers for that many years, so be it. Yeah, he's worth it. But I mean, who could?
Yeah.
I mean,
No
maybe
one
he
could.
could, but we'll see.
No, I agree with Wyatt. I think he'll end up being a DH in 3 or 4 years probably, because he's not the greatest outfielder. But you know what I say? Let's go Mets, baby. I hope he hits 80 home runs next year.
Yeah, yeah. I hope he does.
So that's our final question. Thank you
guys
so much for having
Thank you.
us.
This means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.